Hello and welcome back to my channel, and today we're taking a look at Silent Hill 2 Remake, which just landed, well, a day or two ago, depends on when you're gonna see this video. Now, the original game was launched in 2001 and it was pretty much a big hit. Now, this game has been remastered, or should I say remade, because there's a little bit of a difference there. We're gonna go into that maybe later, in Unreal Engine 5, and, well, let's just talk about the requirements. The minimum GPU these guys want you to have is a GTX 1070 Ti, and recommended GPU is GeForce 2080. The minimum CPU is an Intel Core i7-6700K, and recommended CPU is an i7-8700K. So, respectively for AMD people, so you're not left out, the minimum CPU is Ryzen 5 3600, and recommended one is Ryzen 5 3600X. So, technically the requirements make sense, but there's a note by the devs down at the bottom which says playing on recommended requirements should enable to play on medium quality settings in 60 frames or high quality settings in 30 frames in Full HD or 4K using DLSS or similar technology. SSD is recommended. Now, you might be thinking, that's an interesting note from the devs, and that's why we need to look at the graphics. Now, we're gonna max this game out as per what I have available, which is a 2K monitor, high refresh rate 144. So we're going full screen 2K with ray tracing enabled. So as you know, the ray tracing is gonna be the biggest thing in this game, because everything that can reflect will reflect, and actually it looks gorgeous in Unreal Engine. No frame rate cap, no dynamic resolution, vertical sync is turned off, and we're not going to use super sampling. Now, obviously, we do have a choice of TSR, FSR, and DLSS, and we're going to give them a go as well, very briefly. We're going with the Epic Render Quality preset, and Global Motion Blur is off. So, the rig I'm currently running is an i9-99K, 4070 Ti, and 32 gigs of RAM. And keep that in mind, because we're gonna walk around and talk a little bit about all this, because Unreal Engine is taxing for a reason. So let's just see the cutscene and see how it goes.
Could you really be in this town?
In my restless dreams, I see that town. Silent Hill. You promised you'd take me there again someday. But you never did. Well, I'm alone there now. in our special place, waiting for you.
I got a letter. The name on the envelope said Mary. My wife's name. It's ridiculous. Couldn't possibly be true. That's what I keep telling myself. Mary died of that damn disease 3 years ago. So then why am I looking for her? Our special place. What could she mean? This whole town was our special place. Could Mary really be here? Is she really alive? Waiting for me?
Right, so that's the intro for the game, essentially, give or take. And what do we have? We're pulling 7 gigs of video memory allocated, 9.5 of RAM, and we're sub 60. Now, I know that you're thinking, oh my god, an i9-99K in 2K cannot push this game, but the thing is, it's the ray tracing. Everything that reflects, as you can see, if you look down on the reflections, it literally tanks your frames. If you look somewhere where the reflections are none, you're kinda 60-ish, give or take. So, as per usual, despite the fact that Unreal Engine is taxing by itself, because graphical fidelity is actually still there, and obviously, you know, this is kinda run-of-the-mill Unreal Engine, and when it comes to the remakes, obviously they need to kind of build the whole world up. There's a difference between a remaster and remake. Remake tends to rebuild the game world in a new engine, adding new voice lines, maybe changing a game a little tiny bit, and remasters usually just focus on texture quality and maybe better sound effects. So when a remake happens, a lot of things need to kind of take place for game to actually run and look good at the same time. So what you can do, and as I promised, we're only gonna do this very briefly. First and foremost, you can either disable ray tracing if you don't want to have all the nice things, or you need to use DLSS or FSR. Now, you might think this is a bad thing, but just hear me out here for a second. Now, when you enable it, you're no longer limited to 25 frames. Kinda. Now, the game still takes a little bit of time to kind of apply the settings, and in general, I must say that Unreal Engine is not exactly the best engine for ray tracing when it comes to it, so I just used to turn it off. If your system is able to handle full ray tracing with no DLSS and nothing else, be my guest. I prefer my games to actually be on native. So, let's talk about the overall game itself. Now, granted, this is pretty much 20 years plus old game that's been remade. And I think this is kind of like the best thing ever, for the simple reason Silent Hill has made rounds around the internet. People are still replaying it on consoles, and when it launched on a console, I believe it was locked at 30 frames. To recapture all of this in Unreal Engine, I think is the best decision ever, because look at this volumetric fog. Like, when it comes to Silent Hill, you're not limited to a draw distance anymore, as you were on a consoles where you physically cannot see anything beyond 50 feet. In here you can still see the trees throughout the fog, but you just can't make them out. And I'm pretty sure if some modder removed the fog, you could actually see through the whole forest. The game is semi-open world, as you might know, so you're not exactly limited to one location as per time. You are able to move freely throughout the town, scavenge it and find all the resources and fight the enemies. But in general, for those who never played the game, this is a very story-driven and exploration-driven game. So you will need to explore. if you actually want to succeed, if you want to level up, if you want to get the materials, and specifically if you want to get any kind of weapons to fight. And as you might know, Silent Hill is kind of notorious for the, you might want to call them a boss fights or the regular interactions, but it's a little bit cinematic, and honestly it looks way better than it looked before. So yeah, let's just let this cinematic play out.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry. I was just...
Hey, it's okay. I didn't mean to scare you. I'm kind of lost.
Lost?
Yeah, I'm looking for Silent Hill. Is this the right way?
Yeah. It's hard to see with this fog, but there's only the one road. You can't miss it.
Thanks.
But... I think you should stay away. This town, there's something wrong with it. And it's not just the fog either.
Is it dangerous?
Maybe. It's kind of hard to explain, but...
I'll be careful.
I'm not lying.
No, I believe you. It's just... I guess I don't really care if it's dangerous or not. I'm going either way.
But why?
I'm looking for... someone. Someone very important to me.
Me too. I'm looking for my mama. I mean, my mother. It's been so long since I've seen her. I thought my father and brother were here, but I can't find them either. I'm sorry, it's not your problem.
No, I hope you find them.
Yeah, you too.
Right, so it's time for us to push on and get into the town, because that's where essentially majority of the action happens. Now, talking about the performance, the one thing that really stands out for me, and I'm not entirely sure, is there is no frame generation for either 4000 Nvidia cards or even FSR frame generation, which would help out a lot of AMD people. It is just simply not here. Which, for me, is kind of weird, because, I don't know, I'm kind of under impression that that should be a very easy thing to implement in Unreal Engine 5, specifically when you're building the game from ground up, give or take, as not everyone has got RTX cards. Obviously, we're talking about all the 1070s, 1080s, 1650s, 1660s super people. FSR will probably help out either way, depends. I know I'm camp DLSS, I know a lot of people are camping in camp FSR, but in general, you know, you need at least 2000 series GPU to actually take advantage of DLSS. So if the game's performance in native 2K on epic settings, no downscaling, is around 60-ish frames while running off from NVMe drive with a 4070 Ti, then I can just imagine the frame drops you're gonna see when the actual battles take place, because there is combat in this game. I can't say it's, you know, like as intense and a lot as, like, let's say Doom Eternal, but there will be times when you will need to very quickly kind of figure out what's happening. And obviously I'm not gonna spoil the game for those who never played it, but I must say a stable 60 is kind of where you really want to be in this game, all things considered. Now, granted, I know that a lot of people will say, oh, but you know, when the game launched it was locked at 30 frames and it was fine, and I replayed it 7 million times. Good for you, but Then again, 30 frames in 2024? I mean, come on, man. We can do better than this. Now, granted, running an epic setting on Unreal Engine is a little bit taxing.
Anyone in here?
I'm not gonna say it's not, but I don't exactly want to play around with different settings, because Unreal Engine games relatively by default love to restart the game to apply the settings. It's just the thing they actually do themselves. So you might want to keep that in mind. If at first you change a setting and nothing changes, give a game a restart. And I'm pretty sure you will see that it's gonna work out fine after that. And I forgot I need to put in the key. It shows how long I haven't played games like these, where you kind of have to manage the inventory, find the things, and etc. But outside of that, I think a lot of people's you're gonna agree with me, perhaps, maybe, I don't know, I'm not exactly popular when it comes to opinions, that this is a very well made remake. Now, optimization probably might kind of wait a bit, but I would want to say that we probably will get a performance patch. Nvidia did not release a dedicated driver for this game, so that's also a little bit weird, because this was one of the most anticipated game remakes for 2024. So I was kind of hoping that Nvidia will release at least like a little patch driver, as they love to do. I'm not sure how it works for AMD people, but yeah, overall I must say the performance is not bad. Like, all things considered. Technically, I could kind of moan and whine about not getting constant 60 at all the times, but then again, it's Unreal Engine. Like, literally, I've lost faith in Unreal Engine's performance in some games. I'm not saying all of them are like this, but they heavily rely on cores and threads. And as you can see, even the 99K currently, most of the cores are actually pretty much the same level, give or take. They're all being utilized. And at the same time, our frame time is between 16 and 20, which means there is a little bit of waiting going on from one component to another while it processes and renders the game world. So it's not exactly, you know, as simple as you might think. But it's just how it is. Obviously, sitting on a 9th gen CPU is not going to do you any favors. And of course you can overclock and you can tune the settings, but you know, just for once, I would probably want to have slightly, you know, hassle-free experience here. So let's just have a very quick detour through here. See if there's anything collectible. And as I said, like, obviously people who play this game hundreds of times, you will just speedrun through all of this. But for the new players, specifically if you never played Silent Hill, but you've grew up looking at your brother or listening to your friends that's one of the cult classics, take your time. Like, don't run around like me like this. Like, that's not gonna do you any favors at all. Like, walk, explore, prepare. Like, that's, I guess, is the main mantra of Silent Hills altogether. Just prepare. There will be situations where you will be like, oh, I should have explored something somewhere, and you didn't. So don't be that guy. It is absolutely not worth it to not explore. And actually, when the game looks this good, why wouldn't you explore? Like, let's be real here. So yeah, I don't know. I guess this is a positive video end of the day, despite my usual gripes and concerns about where gaming is going nowadays. But seeing that at least a decent game is being remade kind of gives me a little bit of a hope. Let's go meet the guy in the mist, and I think that's pretty much gonna be it. I'm gonna call it a day, because I don't want to spoil the game for people who haven't played it. It's just that would be unfair, you know. Like, obviously the game's been out for over 20 years, so if you never played it, that's a little bit on you, but still, you know, it is how it is.
Hey, wait.
Now, from this point onwards, it's semi scouting, crafting, combat tutorial, but nevertheless. So, the main takeaway for this game's release: it looks good. It runs pretty decent for Unreal Engine, I would want to say, remake. And with some tweaks, you can definitely get more frames than 60. I would want to say Full HD 2K resolution, definitely. If you're using FSR, even better. If you're running high-spec PC like 4080, 4090, later gen CPUs than i9 from 2018, or even below, I think, you're gonna be in a good place either way. Even currently, with these settings on a day one, I mean, this is absolutely playable. Let's be real. And if I was tinkering with the settings, I'm pretty sure we would get more frames than this. So, just out of curiosity, if I had to do this, I would go with DLSS on quality. And there we go. Instant 100 frames. So, let's give Unreal Engine a moment to breathe. Let's enable ray tracing. Full ray tracing, DLSS on quality. There you go. All your eye candy. Frame time has dropped slightly to 11 seconds. We're above 60 frames. We might be close to 60 end of the day. But hey, it just works. You know, like it's one of those things. And I'm pretty sure there will be a patch. Anyway, I've talked for a good minute here, so I hope this video gonna be a little bit more informative for some people, and hope you are gonna be playing this game and making better videos than I am. Anyway, on this note, I'm gonna leave you to it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Over and out.